And for this year's One Act Play Festival, Sharon Mitchell wrote a play called The Perfect Gentleman. And it's based on real-life letters written throughout the Great War by Lt Cyril Walker to his wife, brother and father. It's an extremely poignant portrayal of the journey this man made from joining up in 1915 until his death in 1918. And even more significant, since 2018 marks 100 years since the First World War ended. Certainly made an impression with judges at this year's festival, because Hog the Limelight won 7 awards with it, and they will now compete in the next round in the UK. And I'm delighted to say Sharon is with us this afternoon.
Hello.
Sharon, first of all, how much writing had you done before this play?
Absolutely nothing. So this was my first go. So obviously I'm delighted that it's done so well. I was looking for something to direct in the One Act Play Festival. I'd done that before and really enjoyed it, and couldn't find a play that I liked. So I thought, I'll just write one. How hard can it be? I'll just write a play. And it took me about 12 months to actually come to this to the idea. So Cyril Walker is actually my partner John's great-grandfather, and his family had kept all of Cyril's letters through the First World War since that they were received. So I had the opportunity of reading through them last summer and said to John, do you know, this would make an absolutely fantastic play. It's such a brilliant story. Would you mind if I put something together? So asked permission of the rest of the family as well. And through the course of last autumn, while I was doing the Mousetrap at the Gaiety, I wrote this play, and here we are now.
And how much of a picture do these letters give of the character of Cyril Walker?
We were very lucky that Cyril was a very eloquent and detailed writer. So the letters are amazing in terms of explaining what was important to him, what concerned him, and his experiences. So when he first joined up, he joined as a seaman. He'd run the family mill, so he was used to commanding men and looking and giving orders and things. So he was very concerned about not having a commission, because he felt he had leadership qualities. So he was very focused on that at the beginning part of the war and the training. And just making sure that his wife back home was okay. So the letters have a very different theme depending on who the recipient is. So the letters to his brother and his father are very much about the horrors, the difficulties of what he's seeing, whereas the letters to his wife are very much about why he's fighting to protect the honour of the country, to make sure his family is safe, and to make sure that they had the right future.
And this play, it is a one-act play, obviously.
Yes.
So therefore, I mean, picking and choosing what to include must have been really difficult. I suppose I want to ask you about how much artistic license you used.
So there is some for sure. As you mentioned, the play goes from the beginning of his journey right to, unfortunately, his death in 1918. So we had to really pick out the highlights in terms of, and the lowlights in terms of Cyril's journey, but also make sure that the story had a good flow to it. So particularly the letters to his wife are very much letters that I've written, because we wanted to show a light and shade for the experience of the audience, rather than it being just complete the horror of what he was seeing, to actually reflect on some of the things that he was feeling as well.
And I mean, I wonder how you go about casting something like this when you've got obviously a very clear picture in your mind of how you feel it should look.
That was actually really, really easy for me, and actually I wrote the play with those people in mind. So Cyril's brother is actually played by John, so he's playing his great uncle. Cyril's wife Dolly is played by Rachel Jochen, who I've had the opportunity of acting with before, so I know she's a fantastic actress and knew that she'd do the part really well. And then the father is played by Norman McGregor Edwards, who again I've had the opportunity to act with as well. The other great thing is I was able to write a very small part for my daughter, so it's been a real family experience for us.
But you know, the real tragedy of this is that we obviously know how it ended, and Cyril died, and not long before the end of the war.
Absolutely, and interestingly enough, he died in March 1918, and whilst the armistice and the poignant date is November, from about May onwards in 1918, not an awful lot actually happened. There was a lot of just withdrawal of troops and things, so actually really he only died about 2 months before the end of all the real action. You can probably tell as part of researching this, I feel like I've become quite a First World War expert. It's quite strange.
Of course, there is For the Fallen, which opened at the Ballacamine Studio Theatre last night, which is a play, again, that's been created specifically to commemorate the Isle of Man's involvement in the First World War. And because of the significant anniversary this year, I mean, I said it has an added poignancy, but it really does. And you're going to be asked to perform it again at certain occasions.
Absolutely. So as well as performing it in the next round of the competition, the Manx National Heritage have asked us to perform it at the Manx Museum as part of their armistice celebrations, and we've also been asked to perform excerpts at the concert that's scheduled at the Villa Marina as well later on in the year. For us, we're just absolutely delighted because it just gives us the opportunity to share Cyril's story, and that's really what it's been about for us. And
it just must be incredible winning all those awards. As you say, I mean, your main aim really was just to tell the story of Cyril, but you did so well in the One Up Place Festival, and a bit of a coup considering it was your first ever attempt at playwriting at all.
Absolutely, and a complete surprise for me and for the rest of the cast. And we, as I said before, we're just absolutely delighted that everybody has really embraced Cyril's story. We've been very fortunate that the adjudicators since been in touch and given us sort of tips on how to do well in the next round and things like that. So I think the biggest concern is quite, how we top that. I've already been asked what I'm going to do next, and it's like, oh crikey, I'm not really sure at all. But the other thing is we've had the opportunity to actually go and visit Cyril's grave in France, and one of the great things about that is that we know Cyril's journey through how he's headed his letters in terms of the places he's been. We've actually been there now, so it feels very much like we've trodden in Cyril's footsteps.
And when you went there, you saw something quite incredible.
We did, yes. So for the One Act Play Festival, we put a special programme together. When we got to Cyril's grave in France, somebody had arranged for a copy of the programme from the One Act Play Festival to be left on Cyril's grave, which is just absolutely magical.
Now, Sharon, you said that you asked permission from the rest of Cyril's family before you embarked on writing this. Have any of them seen it?
None of them have seen it, but they hopefully will have the opportunity when we go to Saltburn. The Walker family mill was based in Huddersfield, which isn't very far away. So the plan is that they will come and see the play, and they will see the characters playing relatives that they remember, which is an amazing thing. Dolly, who was great grandma, lots of people remember her in her dotage. So the fact that they'll see her as a young woman will be just amazing.
And when can other people from over here go and see it? You mentioned you are going to be performing it again.
Absolutely. So we're performing it this Saturday at Port St Mary Town Hall at 7:30. We're very lucky that we're performing with another play that which is also by a local author, which is called The Interview, and service players are performing that alongside us on Saturday.
And so you have already been asked the question about what you're going to do next, but I mean, are you must something bubbling away there?
I have a few ideas, but John and I have quite a key event happening at the end of the year because we're getting married, so that's probably going to be my focus after May. It really depends on how well we do. If we do well in May, we have the opportunity to perform again at the All England or even the All British final, so we'll just see where it takes us.
And theatre generally, Sharon, has been something that's a big part of your life and quite a contrast to your day job. How did you first get into it?
Like most people really at school, my career ambitions when I left school was actually to be a lighting technician. So I went and did a degree in electrical engineering and worked for the BBC for probably about the first 2 years of my working career, and then decided I needed to get a sensible job. And so now I work for a local corporate service provider, but I've been involved pretty much for 30 years. So it's always been something that I've absolutely loved doing.
Well, it's been lovely talking to you today, Sharon. We wish you the very best when you go away. When is that?
It's the week after next, so May Bank Holiday weekend. So we'll be loading the set and our props and all our actors into a truck on the boat and across the Pennines, and we'll see how we get on.
And if you do get through to the next round, what happens then?
So we'll perform it again at the beginning of June is the next round. So it's we'll just load the truck up and hopefully and get across. We might have a situation with Rachel, because Rachel's actually, she plays Dolly, who's pregnant partway through the play. She's actually pregnant in real life now, so we'll have to just see how she gets on, but that's certainly the plan.
It was very kind of her to do that, though, wasn't it? You know, to be in keeping with the play.
Absolutely, very kind.
Sharon, lovely to have you with us. And just briefly, just the challenge of taking a play like that away when you don't actually know the setup of the staging or whatever, it can be quite daunting.
Absolutely. So again, the actors that I have are amazing, are very adaptable. When we came to the space in KWC, it was very different to how we expected to be doing it actually when we'd set it. So I have absolutely every confidence that they will just pull it off magically like they did last time.
Well, break a leg and do let us know how you get on.